Hey everybody, this is Aaron Hilliard. Welcome to another episode of Mushroom Wonderland. Today I'm in the Olympic National Forest out on the Olympic Peninsula of Washington State, and I'm going to head out for a hike today with my dogs into the great unknown, out into the forest. I have my foraging basket with me. I'm thinking we're going to go out, gather some wild mushrooms, and then cook a little meal out here in the forest while the dogs are running around. I love cooking, I love foraging, so if you like these kind of things, make sure to hit subscribe and come with me into Mushroom Wonderland.
Welcome to Mushroom Wonderland.
Right, I'm heading up into the woods right now with my trusty Hound Lab gunner and GSP named Loki. I love foraging wild mushrooms and I love cooking, so doing these foraging and cooking videos is so much fun to me. But I'm really curious if we're even going to be able to find any wild mushrooms to cook. It has been a mild winter so far, but it's been very rainy. Today there's been a little break in the weather. It has been just soaking rain for weeks now, it seems like. We're having even like some patches of blue sky, so really nice. The brush is wet, so I'm probably gonna have to put on some rubber pants to get into the woods a little bit once I get off this little kind of game trail that I'm on. You know, it's late in the mushroom season. A lot of these mushrooms like chanterelles and stuff are all just kind of mush and waterlogged, but there still might be some good ones out here hiding amongst the moss and under the brush in these little micro habitat. This is a little stand of alder trees right in this like second growth Doug fir and western hemlock forest. Oh, look what we got growing right down here. That's really cool. The western panther cap, Amanita pantheranoides. So this is one of the amanitas that's related to your Mario mushroom, the red one with the white spots. This one's brown with white spots, and it does contain toxins. Considered toxic, even a little bit psychoactive. Not one that's going to make it into my basket today, and it's pretty limp. So that's a state of the mushrooms right now, is they're getting pretty waterlogged out here, and I'm hoping to see some good edible ones. This one, however, we're going to leave it right here. The Amanita pantheranoides, or the western panther cap, not of any use to us. This one, found around conifer and alder, is known as Lacaria lacata, or the lac, or the deceiver. Some people call it the deceiver. It's got a very kind of scurfy stipe. It's really kind of a woody stipe. These are a really hardy kind of winter mushroom. They could be popping up through the snow, and these ones are edible. You can see some here. You know, here's a good example of the Lacaria lacata. Widely spaced gills, woody stems. They are edible, but not real tasty. But you can often find them in big troops. So if you're in a survival situation, you could definitely pick some Lacarias. They range from this orange colored ones all the way to like a deep purple one, or the amethyst deceiver, which it's suggested to probably avoid eating the amethyst deceiver, but I've never heard anything bad about these ones, the orange Lacarias. You guys found some water, huh? A big flush of Lacaria. And I wouldn't mind showing you how to cook and eat these, but these ones are getting really old. Look at how big that one is. Big Lacaria lacata. So these are really pretty common. It's really dirty. If I can find some fresh young ones, I will get them in the basket, and we'll cook up some of the Lacaria, see what we think. These ones are a little too old though. I'm gonna leave those. This is where it's starting to get a little bit more brushy. It might be time to put on my rubber pants. I have these like literally rubber pants that I bought at Buy Mart. Nothing special. I'm not sponsored or anything, but man, I like to have dry legs when I'm out here in the woods. And so the brush out here in Western Washington can get really thick, and you will get wet really quick out here in the woods if you're trying to get off trail. Yeah, let's go. Oh yeah, and I'm in these rubber pants, some good hiking boots, nice socks, man. And I'm like a stormtrooper, I can go anywhere. Oh, what do I see right here? Look at that. This one is your Pacific golden chanterelle, Cantharellus formosus. Beautiful golden chanterelle. That one's definitely going to earn a place in our basket, but I get a little tummy ache if I eat too many of them. I'm hoping to find some other mushrooms that we might be able to cook up. All right, here we have Fomitopsis mansiae, or the red-belted conch. These are super common in the woods. They eat the inside of the logs, and they're really hard, like wood, you know? You can't eat that thing. I mean, you might be able to boil it long enough that it would get soft enough, but you know, some mushrooms are just inedible, but really, really good for the ecology out here, taking care of the forest. And from where I was standing, this caught my eye. More chanterelles. Oh yeah, those are no good anymore. Look at that. Just total limp noodles. Too much rain. Too much rain. And chanterelles have a long life. They've been out here growing for months, I think. So here's more. And look at this. Oh, it's sad. Here's your New Year's chanterelles. Yeah, don't eat rotten food. It's nice to see mushrooms that weren't picked. Nobody knew about this spot, and so these mushrooms got to run their whole life cycle. Check out right here at the base of this tree. There's like an old dead red alder right here. And at the very base of it, I see some pretty large mushrooms. Look at that. These guys are known as your late fall oyster, or Sarcomyxa serratina. So let me flip that over for you. Ooh, this one's getting old. It's got some sort of a fungus growing on it, some kind of a mold. And you know, there's some younger ones down here, but if you look, they kind of have this silvery sheen, and they're sort of greenish on the edge, and they get kind of gold color towards the base, and they're viscid. They're kind of slimy. And then when you flip them over, all of the gills pretty much stop at a defined area on the Sarcomyxa, and it's got this strange fuzzy yellowish base. And this one definitely old. Let me see if, gosh, these are all getting pretty old too, man. We are late in the season, but that's a good example of the coloration of the Sarcomyxa serratina. There it is, the yellow base, your gills that kind of all stop in a straight line there. And these ones, you know, some people say they're bitter. If you were to nibble and spit it right here, it's kind of bitter tasting, but with enough cooking, it'd be an okay edible. I think they're good in mushroom soup and chowder. So if you like mushroom soup, cream of mushroom soup, oyster mushroom soup, you know, go ahead and pick these and dry saute them first. Just cook them in a hot pan with no lipid. Let them sweat out as much moisture as you can, and they're still going to be a little squishy. That's why they're not that great for like saute, but they're really good in soup. So Sarcomyxa serratina, or the late fall oyster. I'm going to leave those ones here today, though. They're a little bit old, and we're going to keep moving. Wow, here's some mushrooms that are kind of standing out to me. Look how red these are from the top, and underneath super bright red. So this one, probably Cortinarius smithii, maybe sanguineus, but either way, these are really good dye mushrooms for fabric dyers. Look at that beautiful red, and that will transfer into protein fabric like wool or silk. And so I collect these and I dry them out for later. I promise I'm going to make a video about fungal dyeing, just like the basics, and what it looks like to put mushrooms in the water with dye. And what it's like to put mushrooms in the water with fabric. And so I do collect these. They're gorgeous. You know, the fungal dye people will love those. And it's okay to put them in the same basket with your edibles. Just don't get them mixed up. These aren't recommended to eat. Not really sure on the edibility of them, but it would be pretty hard to mix those up, I think. But just be careful out there if you're carrying multiple. Man, it's tough navigating through here. I see a lot of mushrooms in here. So these are yellowfoot or winter chanterelles. Let me pick one for you. Look at that. And they're still in good shape here, even in the new year. So they grow in big troops. Mycorrhizal mushrooms growing on the root tips of these conifer trees. And so, yeah, there's a lot of yellowfoot here everywhere. So I'm going to get to picking a little bit. And we're going to gather up some of these good edible wild mushrooms. Look at that. This looks like the flower of the forest. It has decurrent gills. You see how the gills run down the stem like that? And then its umbilicate, it has this little dimple in the center of the cap. These have been hit pretty hard by rain, but they're still in decent shape. Oh yeah, and then the stems are often not perfectly round. They can often be kind of flat or even square. And they have a bright yellow foot on them. These are a great edible. So I'm gonna get my knife out and just cut them off because I don't want all the pine needles and stuff in my basket. Sometimes I'll just pull them by hand and then cut them with scissors at home. But today I'm gonna cut them with a knife. Look at that, lots and lots more. Oh my gosh, they're everywhere, everywhere. So there's a reason why we call them winter chanterelles. You know, because, well, for one, they are in the family of chanterelles, so they are technically a chanterelle. But the craterelles have hollow stems related to the black trumpet, which are really revered. And these ones, I think just because they're so common that they don't get as much clout as the black trumpet does, but they are very closely related, and I think they're also delicious. So this stuff is a good indicator of chanterelle habitat to me, whether it be golden chanterelle or winter chanterelle. This is salal, and it's used in floral arrangements. So there's brush pickers out here who pick this stuff and sell it and make good money, I guess, picking brush. But often they'll be out in the same areas that there's good mushroom hunting. So once in a while I'll bump into a brush picker out here and we surprise each other. But always when I find chanterelles, it's within arm's reach of salal here in the Northwest anyways. There's about 61 different species of chanterelles, at least here in America, and so a lot of them down south, and they don't necessarily associate with the same trees. So the ones that we're finding here are different, definitely different from the ones in the south or the Midwest. So the salal rule doesn't count for everyone everywhere. Not a ton of mushrooms. A couple months ago, an area like this would have just a carpet of mushrooms, but today, not too many. I don't even know where I'm going, but I have GPS on, so I can just follow my breadcrumb trail back. I also have a charger in my pack in case something went wrong and my phone died, and it's a solar charger, so that's pretty sick, even though probably not going to get much sun out here to be charging anything. Looks like we're coming into a big alder stand, and that means saprobes, you know, decay eating mushrooms instead of these mycorrhizal ones that grow in association with trees. These are the kind that eat dead wood. And this one is pretty common, bright orange shelf mushrooms growing on hardwood like these red alder logs. And this one is called the false turkey tail commonly, because some people seek out turkey tail for medicinal purposes. And it does have concentric rings, kind of like that. You see those different zones. But when you flip over the stereum, which this is, it does not have white pores underneath. It's just kind of smooth. And that is where it produces its spores. But the turkey tail is going to be really creamy white underneath here. And, you know, never really this bright orange. So this is non-toxic, but, you know, it's considered the false turkey tail. So, you know, not everything that's false is dangerous. And it's a cold weather species. It'll be out here in the winter, but again, it's so tough that it's not really considered edible. It's just doing its job out here, eating the wood, breaking it down, making it into soil. Here's another saprobe, kind of a conch-like mushroom growing on this branch right here. Wow, this is a really big fruiting of it. And this one is called Plicacura nivea, or the snowy white crust. It's much more than a crust. It's a beautiful shelf-like mushroom. And these actually stain blue, which is kind of weird. You know, mushrooms in the genus Psilocybe stain blue. It's an indication of hallucinogenic qualities, but not so with these. How cool is that? So there's your Plicacura nivea. This one, your snow white crust, that also has bluing on it quite a bit. Look right down here. These ones have quite a bit of bluing. But yeah, not a hallucinogenic, and but interesting. Not hallucinogenic that I know of. I don't know. I've never eaten it, but doesn't say anything about that in the literature. And this is a nice fruiting of it. Cool. Look at that branch over there. It's covered in it too. So Plicacura, great year for it. Sometimes I don't ever see it during the year, but this year is a good year. Perfect golden chanterelle. Look at that. Out here in the winter. Oh, look at that. Man. When you see chanterelles like this right on the side of the trail, you know that's a game trail. Because people would have picked these if they were out here mushroom hunting. And right here I see a really cool looking Inocebi. I'm going to carefully pluck that one from the base. Look at that. Very scaly, brown spored. Very full of spores. This thing is dropping off so many spores. But see all that scaliness and then the fibrous looking cap. That's why they get the name, the fiber caps. Lots of different Inocebi. So if you see that kind of thread-like silkiness to the cap like that, it's a fiber cap. It's an Inocebi. And you don't want to eat that. It's a cool looking mushroom though. All right, I think this looks like a good place to do a little bit of outdoor cooking, don't you? One thing about mushrooms in general is that you really can't overcook them. So make sure they get nice and cooked, and just take your time and relax. Let them really get cooked all the way through. And it's just going to taste better that way too, when everything can cook together. Doesn't get much better than this. Wild mushroom omelet in the woods. It is so good. Loki. Oh boy. So I tell you guys what, there is nothing better than coming out for a hike with your dogs in the woods, foraging some mushrooms, cooking an awesome meal, and then, you know, getting prepared to head back to civilization. So I enjoy this time when I'm out here. Let me know in the comments if you like these kind of videos. I love cooking, I love eating, I love foraging, I love nature. So if you like these kind of videos, be sure to leave a comment and make sure to subscribe. And we'll see you on the next episode of Mushroom Wonderland.